This is how to evaluate a ThruLines hypothesis. I'm Nicole Dyer. This tip is sponsored by FamilyLocket.com. To learn more, go to FamilyLocket.com/rootstech. How do you know if a ThruLines hypothesis is reliable? There are 3 things to look for. The first one is that most of the matches are over 15 centimorgans. The second is that the matches form a genetic network. And the third is that documentary evidence points to a possible connection. Let's use this example of the ThruLines for Isaac Newton Wilson to see if it's reliable. First, we'll click on the Sarah E. Wilson branch and see how many centimorgans those 6 DNA matches share. When we open up Sarah Wilson's branch, we see that most of the DNA matches are over 15 centimorgans. Then when we check to see if they are shared matches to each other, it looks like they are. In fact, we can see in our network graph below that they are all in that coral cluster. Also, the documentary evidence is solid, showing that they are all probably descendants of Sarah E. Wilson. If you see a through line with any of these red flags, watch out, it might not be reliable. If there is a common surname for the potential ancestor, or a potential ancestor who lived before 1800, or if there are no siblings to the known ancestor. Here's an example of a through line with no siblings. In my tree, I have Martha M. Silvius as my 3rd great-grandmother. Jessie Estelle Ross is her daughter, and she is the only daughter of Martha Silvius that has DNA matches who descend from Martha Silvius. So this doesn't provide us any actual evidence that Martha Silvius was my 3rd great-grandmother. It only provides evidence that Jessie Estelle Ross was my grandmother. In this potential ancestor through line for Jeremiah Green, there are 2 red flags. One is that Green is a common surname, and 2 is that the potential ancestor lived before 1800, from 1710 to 1763. This is a red flag because he had a lot of descendants, probably, who could be in the database at AncestryDNA, and many times ThruLines will be able to find a way to connect some of your DNA matches to an ancestor who had a lot of descendants, even if you're not actually related through that person. This through line does not meet the criteria that most of the matches are over 15 centimorgans. Most of them are under. And this shows us that we need to do more evaluation to figure out if this could be a reliable through line. The biggest problem with this through line is that the matches in it, although there are 30, do not form a genetic network. You would hope that the through line would show you matches who are all matches to each other, but in this case, it doesn't. Instead, they're all in different genetic networks, as you can see by the network graph. Only matches that shared over 15 centimorgans were able to be plotted in the network graph. The last problem with this through line is that the documentary evidence was very weak. At first, I noticed there was no proof of the parent-child relationship from Frances to Lucinda. So this is Deanna's tree, and I was helping her. So extending her tree back from Frances to Lily, I noticed that Lucinda didn't seem like the correct parent. Another problem was that Lucinda's supposed father, John Early Harris, was not correct. There were 2 men named John E. Harris, and their identities had been merged. And one of them was the son of Martha Mabel Green, who was the daughter of Jeremiah Green, and the other one was the father of Lucinda Harris. So the through line could not be accurate because the documentary evidence was so weak. So it's your turn. Go find a ThruLines hypothesis that you want to evaluate and judge it by those criteria. You can read more about how I evaluated these ThruLines in my article at Family Locket. To learn more about using DNA in your genealogy research, join our brand new online course, Research Like a Pro with DNA. We also have a new book, Research Like a Pro with DNA, that goes along with it. Roots Tech attendees can get a discount on our online course. Go to FamilyLocket.com/rootstech to learn about our free podcast, cheat sheets, and other materials.